Resource utilization. How best are you going to utilize the resources that you have at your disposal? Most important thing to keep in mind with these resources, with all these documents, and just to refresh, I'll do this again. I'll share here what I'm talking about, because what I'm talking about really, you should be able to see this, right, are all these resources that we went and gathered last week, right? And I even have my folder up here. You guys can see this right in here. I have all the resources gathered that I downloaded right from the Rocket Driver knowledge base, right? So all I did is I went over to the Rocket Driver Help Center right here, right? And I looked up presentations, and I didn't even go into the knowledge base to do it. I just went into the Rocket Driver Partner Portal, went over there to Home, Setup, and I just went over to Digital Services, and I just went to each of these sections, right? Like for example, I'm going to show you in a moment our SEO resources. So I just went over there to the Rocket Driver Partner Portal, went over to SEO services, and then right at the bottom, and I'm just doing this to recap for folks, right here at the bottom, SEO resources, you can download all the sales and marketing materials. So all the links you need are right there inside your partner portal, right? The links that you have, welcome to the meeting, Doug. Admit, I'm getting this down, guys. You got to click on everybody who joins. All right, so in any event, this is where your resources are located, and I'm not going to go over that, but I am going to go over how do you use these resources? Because you look at them and there's lots of them, like for websites, just, as example, we go over here to web design, we go down, and I'm just going to go inside the portal or go inside the website section here in the portal, and you can see website marketing materials. You've got a lot of stuff there. Well, you've got a lot for a lot of things. If you go through service by service and you go through each and every section, I could be here for hours just trying to talk about one presentation, how I would utilize that. Or, I could go in here and talk about editing a presentation. How would I edit that? And that's stuff that, you have to kind of get down on your own. You have to figure out. But I'm going to give you a quick run through just some example documents. It applies to all of them. And it's very, very simple. And on my screen here, you can see I have up, I'm just using LibreOffice. I always like to use open source software when I demonstrate things to people. So here we have an open source piece of software you can get for free. And I gave you guys links to it the last time. There's Albert. How do you use this? How do you modify this document? What use is this? And this is like more of a pitch book, right? Because this is like letter framed, it's like portfolio, or what do you call it? Legal size paper. It would be printed on if you brought it to a print shop, probably. At least that's how it looks to me. At least A1 letter size. It's not set up to be widescreen like a presentation on a computer, but it's an excellent, excellent resource if you're, have a pitch book, if you're going out or if you're demonstrating to people and you want to explain to an individual, you want to get that pitch down for why our platform's better than WordPress. This is just a good example document. How would I modify this document if I were going to pass it out to a group of salespeople to represent my company? Well, I'm going to show you right now. First thing's this section up here. It says your logo, right? And this is just sort of the mechanics of utilization, right? Grab it, and this is going to be the same in basically any app. Grab it, delete what's up there, just hit the delete key. Now you got to get your logo into this thing. Well, I'm going to want my logo and my phone number, right? So the way I'm going to handle this is I'm going to pull up a nice little box here. You guys can see my desktop, and I've got this folder called Rocket Driver Resources, right? Actually, I already had that open. But anyway, in here, I've got the presentations I'm going to show you guys. We're going to talk about. I've got these logos, right? And I've got Rocket Driver's logo here, several different ways. And I can grab that and just drop it right in and, size this down. This is something everybody has the ability to do. Not hard at all to put your logo into your documents like this, right? So you just grab the thing. Oops. You guys are, there we go. Right? Size Rocket Driver down, and then you go to yourself, well, it doesn't really pop on that minty background, right? Okay, well, let's change this background then. It's minty. It's too minty, right? Go over this thing, change this guy up. I think we should just be able to, do a bucket fill and change it that way? Maybe not. We have to go over here and actually edit this element, right? Go up to Properties tab over here. Oops. Where are we? We got a problem in the thing. Okay, right click. And I think it's edit style with this, actually. The point is you change everything around. You change everything to match exactly what. Oh, okay, cool. So we can do this way. Okay, so we can turn the brightness down. We can modify this thing a lot of different ways. Okay, so using image, we can mod that. turn it whatever color we want. Let's bring it up to like maybe a darker color that's more blue, right? Just as example. You mod this thing however you want to, however you see fit to match your company, right? Everybody should be doing this. This isn't, I didn't do graphic design just then. It's not like I got in there and, inside of a graphics app and did pixel by pixel editing. What I'm doing is something pretty straightforward, and I'm going to mod this thing, and I'm going to, you'll tweak it 50 million ways, right? The bottom line, though, is you make it match your company, right? You have these resources, but you're going to want to take them, and you're going to want to spend that 5, 10, 15, whatever amount of time. Spend a couple hours on it, I would, to go into the system, go in here, let me see, go up here, we'll add some text. Let's add our phone number. Go in there and, your phone number, 548-4433. That's Rocket Driver. Okay. Mod that up, pick a font you like, pick a color you like, whatever, done, right? Call today. And now you have this printed material. We give you other types of presentations. Say that you took this presentation, you said to yourself, well, I love the content of it, but I want it widescreen. You can take the content out of these things really easily. It's literally copy and paste for the most part, right? Where you're literally just grab the stuff out and you can go file, new. We'll just make it a presentation document, right? So let's say I wanted to take that document and I want to mod that thing and I want to use it totally differently, right? If you want to use these things in totally different creative ways, you have the power to do it very, very easily without a ton of work, because all this stuff is pre-created for you guys. These are very important resources. I'm sorry, I screwed that up because I pasted the wrong spot, but you get the point. The idea is this stuff is all yours. You need to use it the way you see fit in terms of modding it to fit your company. If you want to take it and create different presentations out of the materials, you're completely within the realm of, the possible to do stuff like that, or take out text, rewrite it. Whatever you want to do with it, you have these at your disposal for that reason. Now, I grabbed a bunch of these, and some of them are totally different. Like you could see the WordPress comparison, the person creating it, when we made it, we were thinking more in terms of a printed pitch book possibly for that, right? But what about online presentations like you guys are doing all the time now? Well, you've got tons of those presentations as well. Now, not every presentation when you download it is everything going to look the way you want. We put suggestions all throughout. This one here is an example. This is talking about e-commerce, sell more with an online store. And you can see that text is a little, nerfed up in mine. All I have to do is just drag that text size down a little bit, plop a logo in there. And this thing right here, it's going to do the exact same job. I may select a different logo for this one, because I'm doing something differently. I'm doing things a little differently here. For example, I might pick this more solid type of logo, right? We've got the Rocket Driver logo, but it's in a different, it's got the cloud filled in this one. Grab your logo, plop that in there, put in your phone number, pop in your email, done. But it needs to be done with every one of the demos you're on. This makes you look professional, right? When you jump onto a demonstration, just like you guys. And I'm guilty of issues with it myself. When you guys hopped on tonight's webinar, what if I didn't know what I was going to talk to you about, right? What if I had no clue, no concept in my mind of what I was going to talk about, and I was going to just make it up as I went? Well, what happens, of course, with that is you're not going to have a very productive conversation with me, for one, and you're not going to, be very happy with me, my guess is, right? It's the same situation with your customers. And with this, what you can do, you can just do so much. You can mod everything and set it up just the way you like. Set this thing up so that it, it does what you want it to do, and it doesn't do it, doesn't do what you don't want it to do, I guess. Point is, you can go in here and you can really simply edit these documents. And, mine has some little pixelations and, little things that you might not choose, but it's very, very simple, and you need to prep each one of these documents. That's my point. First, before you even think about presenting with a document, go and open them up, go through them, go page by page, put in your phone number, right? Your 1555, whatever, your email address, and save these things out. And this is something you are responsible, if you mod them, for distributing to your salespeople. Keep in mind, our relationship with your salespeople is very much, it's a very delicate relationship, right, guys? If you have salespeople, they're selling for you and they don't know we exist, we can't we have to walk a fine line in the terms of the relationship to never reveal that Rocket Driver exists. Never, meaning I never can do a video like this for your salespeople telling them to mod their own documents, because then they know we exist. So they're relying upon you and what you're telling them and what you're showing them and the resources you provide to them. You know, obviously you're using the systems we give to you and we put you in, but they're relying on you for everything, right? You're their Rocket Driver, so to speak. So, you know, what I would do if I was in any of your positions, something I've done at every sales organization I ever was in management at or had any sway over, was get proper presentations in the hands, proper documents, and, you know, the cards, contract, and copy, the 3 C's of sales. Make sure all that stuff is done right for your salespeople. Now, cards, of course, you know, we live in 2020. Business card doesn't mean what it did in, you know, the days of, you know, American Psycho and Patrick Bateman, right? A whole different world we're in. But it's still important. It's still absolutely crucial that you go ahead and you mod everything to suit. Now, moving on sort of from that, you know, we've got a lot of presentations and I can show you guys more. We can talk about different presentations that we have here: mobile editing handout, why our website platform's the best, SEO presentation. I've got a sales presentation for reputation management and also social marketing. So I've got a bunch of them here and I can go over these with you, but I'm going to skip that. I don't think that's really important. And we lost a little time at the front of this tonight. So I'm not going to go into every one of these. Suffice it to say, they're almost all these documents that you have at your disposal. You have to think of them as an entrepreneur as they're providing me with the best they can given the relationship we have. Because the only way that we could provide you really with better presentations and materials is if we were actually there at your company, right? We were actually producing a presentation specifically for you and not for this program. So just keep that in mind. Everything is modifiable. Everything's changeable. Everyone should change everything they see fit. Don't second guess yourself. Just do it. What's the worst that can happen? You end up deleting a document. Who cares? You re-download it. When you're using these documents, when we're talking about utilization with salespeople, nothing exists here in a vacuum, meaning that you get in a sales call with somebody, everything matters, from the consulting, the pre-conversation, the presentation, everything is working with everything else. And the best way to get presentations really to work with something else is to first ascertain the service that you're going to sell to somebody. What's relevant to this business? What's the conversation about? What am I going to sell to this person? And for that, hold on just a sec, guys. I got to change this up a little bit, actually. And I'm going to jump over here and we're going to take a look. And we're going back to something else here, which is the presentations that you have that are reports, right? These are a very powerful tool to conduct your analysis and really to be able to sell anything to anybody. You have to start with that basis. One of the problems I've seen with people is they're trying to demonstrate. This isn't going on often. Don't think this is this is not our COVID-19, but it's a problem people run into when they're new, is they think in terms of I sell websites, right? Not I consult on the construction of websites. And that's a major psychological sort of difference, right? If you think about it, because like a service like reputation management gets sold in essence, okay? It's customized to a degree because every case is different, but that service from a production perspective is the same service over and over again, right? It's not custom quoted based upon the infinite needs of individual website individuals. I like to think of people who need websites almost like patients. Every person gets sick differently. Every person needs a website differently. And when you're talking to somebody about it, when you start that conversation, you can't start from a perspective of just shove a site on them whether they need it or not. But you can, in essence, in a sense, do that with other services that are more production. They're produced. They exist already, right? There's like with reputation management, whether somebody is being attacked online, has never been attacked but is paranoid, or doesn't care at all, has no bearing on it. It's going to do a bunch of things for them. It's going to help them, increase their reputation online, get more sales, also protect them, also correct them, also, it's going to do a whole bunch. So you're going to talk about what matters to that person, but they're going to get a standardized application of that service, right? End of the day. Websites, not at all. Every conversation is different. And when we're talking about a snapshot report, we're not just talking sites, we're talking 6 different services and 6 different reports. However, there is a logical order of execution, which is why we always start with the website discussion. If the website's destroyed, if somebody has a hideous, disgusting, screwed up, messed up, or in any way dysfunctional website, This is service one, right? It's the first thing we sell to somebody is a website. Because without a website, SEO doesn't apply. No website, social media is not very effective. Listings, what are you going to list? The address? Okay, well, maybe that works for like plumbers and electricians and businesses that don't have people visit them. They visit the other people, but they're still not getting found online. And so people aren't booking listings with them. They're not calling that plumber out. So listings are off the table with a bad website. Reviews are pretty much, I mean, you can protect someone's reputation, but without a website, it's like I'm protecting, I'm building a fence around a person, not a piece of real estate. It's kind of difficult to move around. Then you have advertising, okay, which is like omni-channel and PPC and stuff like that. And where are we going to drive the traffic? We drive it to the website. So the website's fundamental. Second to the site is SEO, because if the site doesn't get found, it's not ranking, no one's getting there, what the hell does it matter? Now you could say to yourself, well, I'm always going to sell business listings. But business listings is kind of one of those strange add-on products. It's almost like, business listings are like ketchup packets. Everybody who buys a hamburger gets some, but, it doesn't always, it's not the main course to most people, right? But it's important. You have to have your business listings not screwed up online. Otherwise, people aren't going to make their way eventually to the website. But business listings, which are critical locally, not so critical nationally. I hope I'm using the right tool to even explain all this to you guys, because I know this is a big topic, and knowing what service to sell at any given time has a bunch of challenges, because you're doing consulting, you're doing analysis. And that's why I brought this up to talk to you guys about, because the snapshot report in many ways is ideal as a tool of consultation. However, it's also a good opener, but it costs some money, right? And that's why we provide you with the snapshot listing scans, so that you can start conversations. And when you feel that there's something good here and it's going someplace, then take the gamble, run a snapshot report. But for consultations, purposes, for all the intents and purposes of that, this is a really good report, because if you're a rookie salesperson, you don't know what to sell somebody. If you know the order of execution, right, of the way that this should be carried out, site first, SEO second, business listings sort of whenever, and then everything else after, you're in a good position, because you know where you need to guide this conversation, as long as you've done a cursory analysis of your client before getting on a conversation. And why does this relate to resources? Why is Jake talking about this in relation to resources? Because I have all these reports, right, guys? I have all of this stuff, right? I've got all of these different presentations. What the hell am I going to present? I don't know. I get on a call, I better know. I got somebody for 30 minutes, maybe 45, an hour if I get them excited. But if I don't know what I'm going to show them, I can get all bogged down showing them something that's way off base. We can open this SEO presentation. They could have a destroyed website, and they could think it's great, and they could think our conversation's great, and they could even buy. But I'm still going to be the one that looks like an idiot at the end of the day when I drive people to a site and the phone rings with people telling them how horrible they are. You can't go and you cannot do this backwards. That site's got to be the first thing you sell. So what matters when I talk about resources, consulting is so inextricably tied and linked and conjoined, and just it's there with it. They're one and the same thing. If you don't do your job right, figuring out what you're going to present, you're never going to know how or why. So the first thing you do with people, this is just the way I've handled it 1,000 times, is I always like to ask a lot of open-ended questions. And this, brings us back to what this is really all about, conducting online demonstrations and using these resources, right? When I start up, the first thing I start with, usually a phone call, not an online presentation. I mean, I'm going to guide it that way, but I want to look up this, if I have a good prospect, I'm going to look up their website, look up their local competitors. I'm going to look up their local market. I'm going to look up their industry, because industry, there's lots of things that vary business type to business type. And I'm going to come up with a strategy that I'm going to utilize for them. A plan I'm going to present to this person, right? I'm going to say to them, look, I would start off, let's say their site's horrible and they're not ranking. Very common. Right, 90% of the time. Site's bad. It was made 5-10 years ago or more, and it's, they're coming around to the idea they need to fix it. Very common scenario, right? There's millions upon millions, and there'll be millions more later, businesses that are out there that are in that space. So what you do is you start off with generalized questions, right? Who did your site before? What do you like about it? What do you hate about it? You get a picture of your client, of your prospect. It's not telling me shit about the website. I know about the website. I can pull it up. I can rip the code apart. I can dig into it. I can find dates things were published. I can find out who made it, when it was made. I do all that on my own, 10 minutes. Well, why I'm asking them those questions is to tell me about you, what your perceptions are. Because I'm going to look at that site, and let's say it's a hideous site, but the person tells me, we think it's just gorgeous. Oh, we love hot pink on a brown background with lots of neon yellow and all kinds of, flying bullfrogs for our restaurant because we just think they're so cool. Crazy, BS that gets pushed to you, right, from the client. That tells me this person is they're not a novice, they're a design illiterate. This is a person that we ain't going to even get into design. We're going to say that we got great designers that'll handle it, right? And I'm going to push them. I know I'm going to have to sell them a design, not request orders. This person, but the other client, the next person, when I ask the same questions to, can come back with, we really like themes from this company versus that, and they're all into it and on top of it because they've been shopping and they know what they're looking for. The next person might not have they're not shopping, they're not savvy, but that next person might understand basic principles of art, right? They might have taste and common sense, and they see it's junk. They see a competitor, very common, that they'll come to you and say, I want my site just like this. And it's a competitor in another state or 2 states over, wherever. And, they'll say, I want a site comparable to this, but I'm not a designer. I'm putting that up to you. So now I know that I'm maybe going to bring them to my site. I'm going to show them portfolio pieces. Maybe that's a direction. You have to take what they're feeding you informationally, the information, not the answer to the question but the actual information that's being conveyed, hitting me in the brain, right? What's hitting me in the brain is this person is going to go this way or that way. Are you shopping for sites? Are they qualified? Always qualifying. Because you don't want to waste your time pitching somebody who has no money, right? So, especially remote situations where it's a phone call, you don't know much about them. I was known for this for years of being very price forthright, right? Literally clubbing them with it. Like starting up the conversation with, listen, I don't want to waste any of your time. We were a professional web development shop here, and I'm just going to be level with you. Websites from us start at $2,500. If that's an upsetting figure, conversation can stop right here. You can have a beautiful day. I would be like that a lot, as it saved me. And I didn't start off that way. I was like a young kid who was really nice to everybody and told everybody everything and went through everything with everybody. Feel like it wasn't right to not demo somebody because they're not qualified and all that. Back when I was a teenager, I learned really quickly, I ain't wasting my time. Get the hell out of here. You can't afford the food on the shelf. Don't shop at the store. Go. And by being that way, being really direct, I'm a consultant. You need this, but you want that. I won't sell you that, because I know that it's just going to lead to me getting a reputation, my reputation harmed by you when you're so upset because that doesn't do what you think it'll do. Because I know this. This is my business, right? I would always come at them from that perspective. If I needed a pizza cooked, I'd come to you. If you need a website built, you come to me. I know sites, you know pizza. Stick to what you know. Don't tell me what I need to know. You have to be like that a little bit with these people. And I'm not saying be rude or anything or be disrespectful. That's not what it's about. But it's about qualifying them right up front, being forthright. This is a phone call about possibly getting your site fixed. When I get to that level where I'm going to do a demo, I always have qualified so I don't waste anyone's time, because it's precious. It really is precious, guys. Even if it seems like it's not worth much when you're not making sales, if that's where you're at right now, we have a lot of people making a lot of sales. But the point is, if it seems like it's, a situation like that, it is. You have to make sure that you're always putting yourself and your business first and your interests first. So anyway, moving on to presentation and how I would conduct it right here. The snapshot report, let me see. Albert asked, question, I've seen snapshot reports that grade websites with an A that deserve an F+. Why is this? Albert, absolutely. If you're saying like you've seen ugly looking sites where the report has said they're beautiful, right? Something like that, where it said the website here got an A+. And the reason for that's very simple. Design and readability, when it comes to that, when it comes to like a website's look and feel, right? You can have a site where you fix every single bug, right, that it has in it technically, and it'll pass any test, not just this report, but any report that you could possibly run, it would pass. And yet the artistic design of the site is hideous. And there's nothing that any AI can do about that. No kind of automated report, no report really could even handle it. If we had a group of people deciding on sites based on looks, we'd have 10 different opinions if we had 10 people. When it comes to them being ugly, that's why we have words in the English language like taste and design and art and so on, because there are developers out there. And many of those people, believe it or not, I'll say this for everyone on the call, many of those people that develop those hideous sites are actually great designers. They're working to, what they're doing is they're working backwards. They're allowing a client to dictate design instead of them. And that's where a big mistake is made by many people, because ultimately, if you let your clients get hideous websites because you don't manage the process and you just let them do what they want and they come out horrible, that's in your portfolio. You want shit in your portfolio. If so, let them design it, because, you know, letting the plumber, the baker, the candlestick maker build a site, that's what you're going to get. It's just like if you put me into a car, you know, and, you know, instead of a steering wheel, you know, it was I don't know, an aircraft stick or something, right? It's like, I don't know how to drive a car with an aircraft stick. I'd use a steering wheel. It's the same kind of thing. They do not know how to build sites, but they'll dictate from 50 feet back if you let them. That's why you have to guide process and be a consultant, period, right? You know, Albert, it's the truth. Albert says that the answer he's expecting, it's absolute truth. It's 100% factually accurate. If you ask like veteran web developers, not even from here, just in general, what is your number one stumbling block? What is your problem that you run into in your daily life? The clients, the clients, the clients. Because, and this, I'll throw this in here, even though it's kind of off topic. 99.9% of the time, guys, when we have a site sell by a partner and development slows to a crawl, I mean, it's 100% of the time, not us, but it is 99.9% of the time, it's the client not getting back to the partner, because our partners are great people. You guys want to make money. Most of you sell based on a 50% down, 50% at the ending kind of a thing, or else you'll do 100% or 75. You have different ways you bill, but nobody wants to have a site sit in development for 2 years because no one's communicating, but it happens. And when it happens, I usually have to get involved, or else Tom does, and we pretty much tell the partner, this is a process error. This is a problem of processing, right? And, you know, expectations were laid down. This person's violating them. What leverage do you have? Well, you know, if the site's not developed, you would think they'd want to get that process done. But lots of these businesses, when you tell them they're going to owe 50% at the end, right, they get in situations where they don't want to necessarily advance it to the end quickly. They might, you know, it might be that business owner saying to themselves, well, who cares if it goes 6 months? They're developing it. It's on them. It's not on me. And they'll just forget about it. You know, it's just unfortunate, but it happens, Albert. With ugly designs, though, you know, so the way I've always steered it, and it does come down to that, the order of execution is pretty straightforward. You sell them a site first, then you sell them SEO or business listings. But business listings, this doesn't even really count. This is a service that, you know, is very necessary, very reasonably priced, designed to be sold to everyone, and it kind of isn't part of that order of execution if you think about it, because you can sell someone business listings no matter what stage they're at, right? Although I would always try to take somebody doesn't have a good site and sell them a site first. But yeah, moving on from that, you're going to use the document like this, and, you know, frankly, also use the snapshot listing scans as well. Use these for going in and, you know, conducting your demonstration. I use these grades, you know, look at them as advisory, but remember the order of execution and go after it. It's like the website's a D. Does it make sense that, you know, we leave that D? No, we want that at A. We want A's as many places as we can get. That's really crucial. So when you're presenting, you know, this is a big part of your resources, going through this, going through listings, showing them where their problems are. Any one of these areas can open a whole long conversation. And that's something that I think I really should mention here as well, is that I would probably say in the history of websites, 95% of sites have been sold with no real presentation of any kind ever being done, right? Just conversations. So there isn't like there's this, you know, when it comes to going over the problem areas and having discussions, you're going to have lots of tabs up. You're going to have your site up. You may even have Wikipedia up to explain things. you're going to have lots of stuff in front of you, and you're going to pick and choose what you display based on what that conversation, where it goes. Controlling the conversation, controlling that narrative, and guiding things in the direction that you want them to go. That's the biggest part about it, right? That's the huge part that really is going to differentiate winners and losers in the web development game, because the people that do very well selling sites, they're not your, in my experience and knowing them for years, they're not your superstar salesmen, right? Like a lot of people think, and tons of people have said that, oh, that guy's more talented than me. No, I could take away all the talent and literally grab Bender the robot and jam him in this job or something, and he would do that. He would do just fine as long as he was a good consultant. It's all about consulting with that client and understanding that, you're trying to make a bunch of tight parameters sort of all match. And it's not rocket science to get them to match, but you have to know what service you're going to sell, and then you have to guide the conversation to that end. And that's a lot of that is getting the client to understand, at least in layman's terms, a lot of concepts that to them they're not real difficult to explain, but they need to be brought back to earth. Things need to be explained in a way that person understands it. Because ultimately, dollars and cents at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. It's all about them having a good site so they get found so people buy, more product being sold, more services sold, more clients for them. And that's what this is all about. That's going to connect and make anyone, pretty rational pretty fast. Let's see here. Albert's asking some questions. Should we service clients in Australia? I work 2 split shifts now, 10 to 5 US, 9 to 2 Australian. You can service clients anywhere on earth, Albert. Australia's actually, it's doing fairly well. Australia, I believe, I don't have the data in front of me. I believe they're doing better than most right now, this moment. I don't know, but we definitely have sites all over the Commonwealth, all over the world. The Commonwealth countries, right? So New Zealand, Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Wales and Ireland. So we're all over the place with that. South Africa as well. So we do sites anywhere. And keep this in mind, Albert, when you're talking about a site from us, it's going into the same CDN. And it really isn't like a lot. It's very different. You actually have a kind of an advantage with Australia with these reports in that, and this is something everyone should take a look at here too. With these reports, the snapshots, you can do it Australian voiceover if you want. I don't know if that's going to influence somebody to buy there, but just wanted to let you guys know that as well. Now, moving on, the biggest resource I think everybody has sort of at their disposal, going beyond, the resources, the documents you've got, a huge resource is just going in and making sure that you're up on all of these services. And you don't have to be up on, every single small niche thing, although I'd be as up on this stuff as I can. You should know stuff like the platform's features right off the bat, right? Like, does your platform do personalization? Yes, it does. Does website have mobile editing? Is it a responsive site? What e-commerce features do you have? Just go through and make sure you study this stuff. And I say this every single webinar I do, guys. I can't get that point across, enough, because I talk to people, veterans here. I mean, not veterans of war. I mean, veterans with Rocket Driver who've been here for years, and people who have tons of clients, salespeople working for them and everything. And people still miss stuff. And if they still miss stuff, if I still miss stuff, then if you haven't gone through basic training, think about what you're missing. So just make sure you go through all this stuff and you study and understand what I mean when I talk about consulting versus selling, because that crucial key difference, for me anyway, understanding that difference and the applied reality of that difference was a huge milestone in my career in terms of advancing myself. And that was when I realized consulting is very, very different than selling. Consultants don't bend. They just say it's this way, that's it. You go to a doctor, you have a broken leg and you want to bargain with him for, a sprained ankle. He's going to tell you, I'm sorry, you don't have a sprained ankle. You got a busted leg. You go to a consultant, you got a crap website. You're just going to hear in different ways over and over again, your site's crap, it's garbage, it's junk, it's obsolete, it's got to go, got to be replaced, because that answer doesn't change. It's a fact. It's not something that in the opinion salesman mind of that consultant. It's a fact. They can quantify it. They can weigh it, measure it, show it to you, show it to others. It's out there. Salesperson, on the other hand, is going to go up to every single person and do like a doctor who has their brain tweaked wrong. They're going to say broken leg, broken leg, broken leg. There's only one ailment of health. No, there's not. You analyze the patient, you figure out what's ill, what's wrong, you tell them about it, you discuss treatment options. Same thing we do, right? You talk to the consultant about your website. They're going to analyze what's going on, give you a recipe for this, just to correct this problem, a cure, and they're going to sell it to you. But they're not going to change the cure or change the facts to match your opinion. Doesn't work that way. Very important point. I actually sold a hell of a lot more when I started selling that way than when I would try to, develop a pitch around something and push it on everybody. Right. Because, you always come into that, because it's easier in a way. Right. If you develop a pitch around a single product, a single dimensional product, it's not as much work to go and pitch all day long because you're doing the same thing over and over. It's repetition. But consulting, you're kind of digging into what's wrong with everybody. You're spending more time with people. You're demoing less, but you're having more quality conversations. Consultants, I sold more because I realized, I used to demo 7 people or whatever in a time period, a day or, 8 or whatever it was. And when you switch to consulting with them, you spend more time, but your sales rate goes up because people know when you're talking to them and you're being serious and you're analyzing and showing them options. It's easier for them to part with money paying a doctor than a psychic, for example, right? One is very factual. The other is up for debate. So now, guys, we're about at time. It was wonderful getting to speak to everyone. I hope everybody had a good webinar this week. Any questions that anyone has, like I said, I'm always available. Jake at Rocket Driver, and Albert, feel free. You can fire me a message anytime, Jake at rocketdriver.com. I'd be happy to help you out any way I can with that or other deals. And that goes for everybody on this call. Everybody here and everybody who's going to see it. You can always shoot me an email, Jake at Rocket Driver, and I'll answer back. All right, guys. Well, have a great weekend. Have a great evening. Nice speaking to all of you. And good night, everybody. Bye, everyone.